Welcome to Tech in the Right Direction, the podcast. Let's take tech in the right direction to drive social change and close the employment, pay, and culture gap for women in technology. This podcast is focused on helping turn ideas into action to create opportunities for women to advance in the dynamic technology industry. I hope this podcast will inspire and motivate you to encourage more women and girls to seek or grow a career as a woman in technology. Stories about the journey of amazing women in this tech field starts right now. Welcome to Tech in the Right Direction, the podcast. This week, I'll be speaking with Suruchi Gupta. Suruchi is the founder and CEO of Giant, a blockchain protocol that turns a phone number into a bank account and bandwidth into currency via seamless and secure access to the internet globally, rewards on usage, and yield on airtime balances. Suruchi began her Silicon Valley career as a software developer and technical lead at Juniper Networks after immigrating from India to pursue her master's in computer science. Determined to start a company that would impact the lives of billions, Suruchi began to participate in weekend hackathons to validate her ideas and grow her network. She won them all. The win that would change her life was a global hackathon organized by Tata Communications, a subsidiary of the $100 billion Tata Group. Suruchi's winning idea, Wi-Fi Coin, was incubated by Tata and within 6 months of launch was generating 7-digit ARR. Wi-Fi Coin is now a recognized global public internet utility that is open to all, seamless, secure, and powered by a community-owned token. Prior to Wi-Fi Con, Suruchi founded ShareG, a global mobile data marketplace designed to help telco providers monetize their millions of roaming subscribers. Suruchi has extensive telecom, consumer software, and blockchain experience and serves as a speaker panelist at industry events in the US and abroad. She advises and mentors blockchain startups at Founders Space, which is the ranked #1 incubator for overseas startup by Forbes, as well as mentoring young girls to cultivate her passion for technology. Welcome to the show, Suruchi. I'm so excited to have you on.
Thank you, Jennifer. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Sure, let's get started. So as a woman in tech, can you share with us your career journey and how you got to where you are today?
Absolutely. Well, I was originally born and brought up in Mumbai, in India, and I came to Silicon Valley to really pursue this dream of building something that can, create an impact in lives in the lives of, billions of people. And so when I got here, my career basically started at Juniper Networks. I was, a software developer and a technical lead over there, and my entire tenure was about a year and a half after I graduated from my master's program at Santa Clara University. And so it's basically been quite a fun and exciting journey where I came to Silicon Valley just with this dream, really having zero connections and not knowing how to navigate this startup ecosystem, and just at every opportunity that I got, just making the most of that opportunity and continuing to persist and persevere. And really, it's that attitude that has gotten me to start Giant Protocol and where we are today.
Wow, that's very impressive to have that dream and then just give it all you've got to make that dream come true. And you're seeing it now. So I'd love for you to share your success story in blockchain, from hackathons to founder and CEO of Giant.
Absolutely. So, as I was mentioning, that I came to Silicon Valley with just this dream of wanting to build an impactful business, but really not having any connections and no idea how to get started. The only thing I knew was how to code a little bit. So what I started doing was just participating in all these different hackathons that were held over the weekend. And the idea was very simple. I really just wanted to validate all these different problems that I was facing, and really to see whether those problems had any merit and whether they would resonate with other people. And so hackathons for me were a good way for me to discover whether these ideas had any merit, and also for me to really identify whether I am passionate about a particular problem or not. And so to my surprise, I ended up winning every single hackathon that I had participated in, which was a lot of fun, as you can imagine. And this last hackathon that we had participated in was organized by Tata Communications, which is part of this $100 billion conglomerate originally out of India. And we we pitched the idea. We were declared as a global prize winner of the hackathon. We were then incubated by Tata Communications, and that's really how the journey of Giant began, to build this open internet access layer where anyone from anywhere in the world can join and become a provider as well as a user.
Wow, that is amazing. First of all, just jumping in there, the confidence, the bravery that you showed to just jump in and get into a hackathon with some coding experience and then winning them. That is amazing. Um, so tell me, when you first went to the hackathons or all of the hackathons that you've attended, how many females were there, if any?
Well, I mean, obviously, my answer is not going to be surprising. There were not very many, right?
Mhm.
There were very few of us, and in a way, that enabled me to stand out too, honestly.
Yeah.
So
That's really good that you look at it that way. It was the opportunity for you to show your abilities.
absolutely. And I think that's what I cherish, and I've always really cherished, which is when we talk about this whole inclusive movement, it is about celebrating the differences. It's about really embracing the diversity of, thought, of perspective, of opinions that, other, like women like us, can bring to the table.
That's really so true, so true. And I am so impressed with what you've done, not having any connections, not knowing how to navigate, but still now a female CEO and founder of Giant. That's awesome. Now tell me a little bit about this inclusive internet that's accessible to anyone, because diversity is so important in our world today. And it's so good for business. At the bottom line, it brings in more profitability to businesses. So tell me, what does the all-inclusive internet and accessible to everyone and owned by everyone mean?
Sure. So, basically, it starts with this very simple idea that today, when you think about crypto and decentralized finance, or just this Web3 movement that we are all experiencing right now, the biggest challenge with this movement is actually of it being inclusive, because it's just like crypto, itself is really hard for the majority of the world to wrap their head around, because they have to, have a wallet like, MetaMask. They have to understand what hexadecimal addresses are. They have to wrap their head around all kinds of new currencies like, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Polkadot. So it's just like not fun for the majority of the world. And so the idea was that, like, connectivity in the real world today is already one of the world's most widely used utilities. Like 5 billion of us spend more than $2 trillion to access internet every single year. So how about we just turned connectivity into a global digital asset, so that it makes it really easy and intuitive for this majority of the world to become a part of this crypto revolution. And by simply going online, they also become an owner in this connectivity economy. And so that just creates this new internet layer that is owned and governed by its users and is in fact accessible to anyone and owned by everyone as long as they have a mobile phone, basically.
Wow. Wow, that is just amazing. So I run a committee called Tech Equity for one of the local associations. Actually, it's a global association. And one of the things that we really look at is to make sure technology equality is there for everyone, because
Yeah,
sometimes it's not true. We take it for granted where we jump on our computer, we have internet, and we just, or my phone, I have internet, it's just taken for granted. Whereas there are people that don't have broadband or any type of internet accessibility. So connectivity is also important, but there are some people that don't have that privilege.
absolutely.
Yeah. So that's really interesting. So you talk a lot about cryptocurrency and all the pieces of it. It's a whole different language. Like you said, it's new to so many people and uncomfortable. But tell us a little more about the blockchain protocol that aims to decentralize and democratize access to the internet.
Sure. So really the idea with this is to turn, bandwidth, which is already one of the world's most widely used utilities, into a global digital asset so that we create this global connectivity economy where billions of us that are already internet users can just simply by virtue of using internet become a part of this economy. And so the idea with giant protocol is on one hand to tokenize bandwidth, and then on the other hand to create a more open, efficient, and liquid market for bandwidth where anyone from anywhere in the world can be a provider as well as a user of both connectivity as well as financial services. And if I was to go into the details of how the protocols would actually work, they would be a little bit on the technical side, but I'm happy to dive into them if you'd like me to.
Might be a little too technical. Is there a place like on your website that people can, learn more?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So at giantprotocol.org website,
Okay.
there is a light paper, and there are details about all the three protocols that we have: the tele protocol, the connectivity protocol, and the yield protocol. And anyone can go and check it out.
Great. I'm going to have to do some learning myself.
Sure.
That's amazing. So, this podcast is focused on bridging the employment, pay, and culture gap for women in technology. What do you see in the industry today? So, you're in a very technical role in a technical company. Are you seeing many women? What are you seeing?
Well, I mean, I think we all know that there's a long way for us to close this gap, and there's a long way for us to go where us women are actually in equal numbers um, in every like industry and in every domain, not necessarily just in tech. And so certainly, I mean, as much as I am like in Giant's case itself, we are not as diverse as I would like us to be. Simply not because of us not wanting to, bring other women. Obviously, me being the founder and CEO, I would want, I mean, I definitely want there to be more women. But there's really just a shortage of women in crypto as well as just women in tech. So even though we would love to hire women, we are unable to.
Mhm.
And that's just the sad part of this.
It is. And, one of the things I'm really doing a lot of is working on skilling programs to skill women in different areas. We just did an AI skilling program and an Azure, which is the cloud skilling program for women in technology,
That's
and get them certified. So I gave out some scholarships. Microsoft has sponsored some of the programs that we've put out, and it's been amazing. So hopefully that shortage is going to be bridging the gap, and some of those women are now going to continue their journey on the technology path. I hope so.
absolutely. No, I think I mean, I love all the initiatives that you are taking up. Those are certainly, required, like to increase to reduce rather this, talent gap that we have. So I love that you're actively working on those initiatives.
Yeah, and I think one of the other areas that I'm really passionate about and I feel is so, so critical is to get girls the ages from 8 to 13 and start to bring them to the awareness of how fun a technology career can be, or what are some of the other pieces of a technology career. It's not just always coding, right? So show them different areas so that we can start to build the pipeline for the future, because if we don't get them early, we're going to lose them.
100%. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because in fact, when we look at this problem of, not there not being, of course, I'm in the crypto and blockchain space, so we talk about there not being, as many women in crypto, but that same problem applies to not there not being as many women in tech. And if
Mm-hmm.
you really think about why that is the case, it's because of the problem that you just mentioned, right?
Mm-hmm.
Really like inspire and empower the young girls at a very early age in their careers, so that they are passionate and excited and motivated to learn about STEM and just different technologies. And so I think in order for us to really solve this problem, it is a systemic issue in the sense that it needs to start from the very young age.
Right. You're absolutely correct. And so I encourage everybody that's listening, and you also, Suruchi, that anything you can do to influence young girls to think about technology or get excited about technology is definitely needed.
Absolutely. And that's actually very much my own passion too,
Mm-hmm.
to really inspire and help young girls get into get into tech.
Great. Great. And they can see you as a role model. They can see us both as role models to say, hey, if that person can do it, I can do it. I see myself in that person's shoes, and that's so important to be able for them to believe that they can do it.
Yeah, exactly. Representation, right?
Yes,
So
yes. So, Suruchi, power of technology is amazing. What do you see as the future of telecommunication, and where is blockchain headed?
sure. So when I look at the future of telecommunications, I think about it being flexible. I think about it being more open. I think about it being owned by us as people. And that really leads me to this blockchain movement too. Like the whole blockchain movement is nothing but creating this ownership economy where us as consumers are not only the consumers of the service and product, but we also are owners simply by us being, consumers of the product and service. And so when you like at Giant also, what we are doing is combining connectivity with, ownership. And it's like connectivity is basically like, oxygen for all of us. So the fact that simply by going online and using internet, you can now become an owner in this connectivity economy, that idea is really powerful and has the potential to really impact the lives of basically everyone on this planet that has, a mobile phone and goes online.
That is amazing. I totally 100% support what you're saying, and see that vision, for the future as well. I love that you said connectivity is our oxygen, because that's how I feel. If I'm not connected, I go crazy.
And in COVID, I mean, I think everyone has experienced it that more than ever.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Mm-hmm.
like we are only connected like right now also simply because
Right.
of connectivity.
Very, very good. Very good. So let's move to the personal side. Suruchi, who inspires you and why?
Hmm. Uh, Very interesting question, Jennifer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I think about, inspiration, I think I find inspiration from normal, regular, people in terms of how each one of us are leading our own journeys in the best possible way, in the sense that we, like all of us, struggle through life to pursue our dreams and aspirations, and how we are different yet very similar in a lot of ways. So I certainly get inspired by just, us like regular people doing extraordinary things to make things happen.
Mm, very interesting. Do you have an example?
Yes. So an example would be like, of course, growing up in India, I would come across a lot of underprivileged, you know, um, people in my neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
There would be incredible stories where I would hear, and I've also like spoken to them and I've been accustomed to them, where it's like the stories of I'm thinking of what the English word for that is, which is there is this like a fruit seller, or there is like this. We used to have three-wheelers in India,
Mm-hmm.
so there would be these uh, like drivers of those three-wheelers.
Okay.
So people really underprivileged,
Mm-hmm.
at what great lengths they would go to, educate their family, or really just take care of their kids education, or just even well-being, or like supporting them in their dreams and desires and aspirations. And I have countless examples of just those stories that I have been accustomed to growing up, that really fuel my being, to a great extent, in terms of what just sheer hard work, perseverance, you know and faith and confidence can really help you achieve. And that's the reason, that's what I basically mean by I get really inspired by just stories like this, which are, true genuine stories that you don't often hear in media until obviously someone becomes successful and massively well known.
Mm-hmm.
But there are countless, like, billions of us out there that have, unique stories in our own right, that really inspire me.
I love that. And it's so true. It doesn't matter how much you have or what you have or how successful you are. It's your perseverance, your confidence, that passion for your family to make it work, to be successful. And so, like you said, the people who didn't have much, they still went through extra length, extra hard work to provide for their family, to educate their family, to take care of their kids. How impressive is that, and inspiring and motivating, that if they can do it, anybody can do it, right?
Exactly. And because if I look at my life also, like my life really has revolved around three things. One is competitions, the second is limitless thinking mindset, and then third is faith. And you may already know this, like, Indians are highly competitive. So
Hmm.
growing up for me, competitions were a way for me to discover whether I was good at something or not. And after having won hundreds of competitions, I basically cultivated this limitless thinking mindset, where it became really easy for me to jump into things without knowing much, but simply having that faith and confidence that if I gave my 100% for something, it will happen.
Mm.
And it's really this combination of the three things that has led me on to this journey to, build a multi-trillion dollar, truly user-owned connectivity economy. And
It's
it's like
amazing.
if I like going back to my journey of how things started for me in Silicon Valley as well. It's like because I did not know anyone and did not have any connections, I again resorted to competitions to really
Mhm.
discover whether I was even able to start a business and actually run a company. And so it's like
Wow.
really stories like these that are genuine and unique in their own right that inspire me.
Well, you're so humble about it, but you are just so successful. And I am just so impressed by, just the things that you do that make things happen. And you're doing it for not just you, there's a whole economy built around the people that you have employed or changed their life or changed their communities for. And that means a lot. I
Thank
love the limitless thinking. I just love that. And then the faith and confidence, I love that as well, because I know for me, with faith and confidence and just the ability to say, I can do it, I can do anything. And, I run a business for 30 years very successfully and grown it to really big heights because of that type of thinking. And so I completely agree with you.
Exactly. I mean, it is about just, being brave, being
Hmm.
fearless, being you.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Suruchi, you're very, very impressive. I'm honored to have you as a guest. So really excited about this.
Thank you so
Um,
much.
sure. So tell me, I love to travel, and I add things from this podcast. Different guests have told me different places they love. Some I are already on my bucket list. Some I've added. Some I've been to. So, what is your most favorite place that you've traveled to, and why?
I think uh, there are a bunch of places that I haven't
Hmm.
traveled to yet myself, but I think one of the places that I really enjoyed visiting was Barcelona.
Ah, tell me
Yes,
why.
I loved the people, I loved the energy, I loved the culture, I loved the architecture, which you probably, a lot of people you'll hear from. And I just loved the vibe of the city. So, in fact, if there was one place I could imagine myself living in, it would be Barcelona.
That's amazing. I've been to Barcelona, and I absolutely agree with everything that you said because I loved it as well.
Yeah,
And, there's not many places I always want to go twice to because there's so much to see. And I'm like, okay, I need to go to this place I've never been to, but I think Barcelona would be one I would go again.
absolutely. And it was mainly, of course, because of the people and the culture, I would say. I
Yeah.
have, countless stories of how impressed I was with how welcoming the people over there were, in spite of the barriers to language.
Yeah, I completely agree. So, in closing, Suruchi, what advice would you give a woman who is considering a career in the tech industry?
Well, just get started. Like basically, as I was mentioning, it's about being brave. It's about being fearless. It's about being a go-getter in terms of, going after just getting what you want and having that clarity and just pursuing it and really not giving up when it comes to not just starting in tech, but also, moving up the ladder and becoming a leader in that organization as well.
That's perfect advice. You're spot on. If you're a leader and you're a go getter, which most women are, we do so much every day. So you just have to get started. Just do it. Build yourself that confidence muscle so that you can go out there and never give up and always do your best. So that's great, great advice. Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to have you on the show. It's an honor to have you. Please share with our listeners how they can get a hold of you.
Thank you. Well, I can be reached personally on LinkedIn directly. Just look up, Suruchi Gupta Giant Protocol. And for Giant Protocol, feel free to connect with us on Twitter with our handle @Giant Protocol.
Perfect. Well, thank you again, Suruchi. It's a pleasure to have you on, and I hope we can reconnect soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jennifer. It was a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you for listening to Tech in the Right Direction. Please take a minute to subscribe or follow so that you never miss an episode. Also, don't forget to like, share, and comment. Thank you. See you next week.
From IT skill enhancements to end-user adoption training, Directions Training is your resource to help optimize the effectiveness of your technology investments. Over 500,000 students have taken advantage of our wide selection of technology and business training solutions covering the most popular applications today, such as Microsoft 365, Azure, Windows 10, and more. As a podcast listener, we invite you to take advantage of an exclusive offer. Receive 30 days of free access to our Microsoft official curriculum on-demand courses for IT professionals or end users. Visit us at www.directionstraining.com/podcast to claim this offer today. Hurry, this offer is only available for a limited time. Success is a journey. Ask for directions.